Hi.
My name's J.C. McCauley.
I'm Naisha McCauley, and you're watching AccessTV.org.
My friends, once again, it's time to get our talk on. It's Morning Talk with your host, J. Stan McCauley, along with the champions of talk. Today is Talk Champions, Kasiki, along with Dr. Maya Bowen. Let's start off with Dr. Bowen this morning. Good morning, Dr. Bowen. How are you?
Good morning, Stan and Kasiki. I hope I said that right. It's Wednesday. Yes, we get to do this all over again. I was thinking about how it is that in 16 weeks you cannot become an expert in a subject matter unless you're a savant. Obviously, that's a different talk for a different time. But students come into college courses or sign up for college courses, and I think they put a lot of pressure on themselves to get what they need to get done, but thinking as though they're going to be masters of said subject matter, especially when it's new to them, right? And so I was just thinking as we wind down for the semester, I'm like, we go through the cycles, as you were mentioning that on your Bible study time, the cycles of life. And so every 16 weeks, students get to do it all over again. But I think, just taking the time to reflect upon even my own journey in higher ed, that every 16 weeks offered you an opportunity to get exposed to some new subject matters. As a matter of fact, every subject actually has its own language, which means that every time we dive into a specific subject, we indeed add a new language to our vocabulary. And so I think, as seasons change and as the tide change, all the changes that actually occur, I think that we should actually become more embracers of the moment, because I think we think too far ahead, and sometimes we stay too many times thinking about the past, which neither one of them is something that we can actually change.
Quite profound.
But we can work on it now.
Absolutely. Kasiki in the house.
Hey, good morning. Good morning, Stan. Good morning, Dr. Maya.
Good morning.
Good morning to all our listeners and viewers. Dr. Maya, man, you woke up on the right side of the bed today. Thank you for that incredible blessing. Thank you so much. It is really, I accept that. It's a wonderful blessing. Yes. We have to learn to live in the moment. Absolutely.
I'm a little rushed this morning. I changed the clock. The opening was 3 minutes and a half.
It's a little shorter now.
3.5 to 2 minutes is too short. The opening is too short. It's too short. The 2 minute countdown.
Okay.
A lot goes on in the countdown.
Yes.
I need the 3.5 minutes. I gotta add that back. I was trying to make it shorter.
Yeah. So we can have more time to talk.
No. It doesn't affect the talk time.
Okay.
It affects what happens before we actually go on the air.
The preparation.
I cut 1.5 minutes out, and you get a lot done in 1.5 minutes.
I noticed that it was kind of quick.
Yeah.
Before I knew it, you were like, "Hey, Dr. Maya." I was like, "What's going on?"
Yeah, exactly. a whole 1.5 minutes gone, disappeared.
I didn't have all my makeup on, Stan.
I know. We the makeup person. We're gonna fire them.
No, but that did go very fast.
Yeah,
But listen, can we just jump right in, or what are we doing?
Hey! Let's. It's on and popping, as they say.
All right,
You
well,
know,
let's jump right in,
news
man.
and information on the local level.
Yes, man. I just want to say that I think we should, first of all, today is the day for all of our listeners and viewers to call in, because we're going to have this discussion about the mayor announcing that he will not run again. Now, I think that I've said this on the air before. I didn't think he was going to run. You know, there's a lot of stuff that's happened. Maybe he's growing a conscience. I don't know. But I would like to hear from our, listeners and viewers to see what their sentiment is about this. And then we can also continue the discussion with the likely candidates. Yay! I can't wait. Yeah. I'm so happy today.
The likely
I had
candidate.
a moment.
Yes, yes.
I had a moment. His speech or announcement was semi-emotional. I think some tears welled up. Not particularly from my side, but I saw him welling up. It's emotional transition.
Oh, yes, it is. Yeah.
7 years. You give it all you got. It hasn't been easy. The pandemic definitely put a twist on things. But now it's the time to pass the baton, and I'm sure he sat down and thought about it and mapped out pretty much how he was going to do it, when he was going to do it, and it's kind of hard to get into the headspace to let go of the reins, so to speak, right? It's like you're going to be, a part of you is going to be missing. However, I know that he's going to bounce back, because we all do. But in the time being, the thing that I think is going to make for pretty much his legacy is based on individuals' perception of him, right? Because you'll ask 100 people what they think about an individual, since we're talking about the mayor, and you'll get a variety of different perspectives. But as all good things have their beginning, so too as cycles go, they come to an end. And hats off to him.
Yeah.
Well, I personally want to thank the mayor for leading us through the pandemic, because it was not easy. And I'm very grateful for that, because I know that in other cities that they didn't have the leadership that we had. They didn't do as well. So I'm grateful for that. And so I think that, two beefs that I've had with the mayor, and I've spoken about them regularly. The first one is the police chief. And the second one is the Board of Education. I don't think he should have any. I don't think he should, be able to pick any candidates. I think most of that should come from the council and from the residents. But this is just one person's perspective, So, but those two things, and I think that a lot of people agree with me that those two things he's a complete failure on. He's a failure with the police department and a failure with the Board of Education.
With the Board of Ed.
Right.
That's interesting. That's interesting. I think both of you are in the same camp that I'm in, and that's overall, the job he did was not that bad. Overall, a couple of things that and I think that would be the case no matter who the mayor was. On the board, though, I think that's less him than it is the charter. So he can't not decide to have the people not be appointed, that because per charter he has to appoint 5 people.
Right, but he can also champion to have that part of the charter changed if he's working with the community. See, because the issue is, Stan, that people like myself, we don't want one person to have too much power in anything.
Well, that I understand that. I happen to be in favor of the appointees, just so that for sake of transparency.
Of course.
Yeah, but No, I think if particularly if you look at the past, you of course remember EAI. You remember when the state came and took over.
Yes.
And I believe in the power of electing representatives. However, if you get people on the board like we had before EAI, when the whole thing just imploded, just because you're elected doesn't mean you're right for the job. It means that somebody thought you were right. Hopefully we have a lot of other folk over there that could get a hold. But if you elect people, and this is, I think, going to be a great discussion today. Most people, and Dr. Bowen alluded to this before we got on the air, some conversation. If people vote with their emotions and popularity, you literally could elect Donald Duck.
They did. What are you talking about?
So
we see that happen.
Right. So you could get emotional around somebody. That doesn't mean they're right for the job. But guess what? Now they're there.
Right.
So you have to have other mechanisms, because the mayor can immediately remove any appointee. He cannot remove an elected official. So I think that the majority of board members should be elected, with 3 or 4 being appointed by the mayor.
That's too many. He can have 1 and the council can have 2.
Well, that's not
Whatever,
bad. That's now that's I like the council have 2.
Yeah.
That's cool.
The mayor has 1, and then the residents have the rest.
The residents have to now that I hadn't heard that. That's good. I like that.
You never talked to me about it. I have a lot of good ideas, Stan. All you gotta do is
Well,
ask.
Lou, we've diversified a conversation. We can talk about all kinds of things.
It's slowly trickling out at the end of the year. It's all good.
Right,
now.
you bright man sitting over there, got all kind of wisdom. We always want to talk about one horse pony,
It's interesting, right? Because I was speaking about the whole emotionalism, right? So as I think humanity is driven by a lot of emotionalism, but when I start to think about my students and how they approach, their grades, right? It's like, I want the A, but they don't want to work. Right? They want the A, but they don't want to put forth the work. And that's not all of them, but some want the A without the work. And so, tying that back into emotionalism, it's like, emotions is like the tide coming in and out, right? It's temporary at best. And so when the decisions are made based on emotions, it could have some short-term and long-term consequences. And so I think that from the perspective of politics, if individuals understood specifically what was at stake in terms of the vision of said potentially elected official, that could provide them with less sway in terms of voting based on emotion versus voting based on standards, values, purpose, goals, objectives. You know what I'm saying? So it's that thin line. But if you look at society, we are full of things that distract us, and we like to be entertained. Sadly, we have come to the point where we are fully engrossed in how is this going to entertain me and distract me from my real life. Now, keeping in mind that we still have things that need to get done, but the entertainment factor has to be put in there in order to grab hold of someone's attention for a certain amount of time. Case in point, if we use sports, right? Sports versus church. Let's do that, right? So if it is that sports is 4 hours and church is 4 hours, who's typically going to stay more in tune at that 4 hour with? The sports fans. Typically.
Yeah,
but you got your
sports is church.
Diehard church goers as well. But I'm just saying, if you swap the sports fan into a pew, they're probably going to get out faster in terms of the church and back into their game mode. And I say all that to say, yeah, emotionalism can have us diving into some deep waters without a life jacket. So we got to think this over, folks.
Well, sports is church. Every Sunday they gather at the great cathedrals across America, 80,000 strong. They are in unified. They are in unison with their cheers. Did you see the Vikings game? I mean, they got this thing going. Oh. I mean, if I was in there, if I was in that stadium, I would be breaking my neck to get out because the right word from the right person, them cats turn them loose on the city.
It's cult-like.
It is absolutely a cult. You have the full definition of religion and people's affinity and affection for the team. That's they're fanatics. Sports a fan, but I mean that you have religious fervor going on in these things. People working together, playing with a collective mind to will their team to victory. Try talking about one of their teams. Yeah, but we digress. The religion of politics, and parties are like religions.
Yes.
Yes.
And it's interesting that you say that, Stan, because that's a question that I often ask candidates. And it kind of makes them feel uncomfortable because I'll say, well, Stan, who are you working for? Are you working for the community or the party?
You already know where I am.
And it kicks them. But you're a community guy. You live in a community.
Yeah.
So you know the answer to that. You know what to say, but you never hear these other political people because they don't know what community is.
Well,
So with that being said, I just want to say that in indigenous and in African cultures, the elders always step aside for the young people. So, for example, Stan, you're 20 years old, and you're the chief of this tribe now. But you're the chief of this tribe, Stan, under our guidance.
Of the elders.
Yes. Think about that. I want our community. I want our listeners, our viewers, to think about that concept because I'm jumping right into the candidates. Let's talk about some of these candidates that we know about. I believe there's one making an announcement today.
11 o'clock this morning at the Artist Collective, former state senator and retired judge Eric Coleman will be making his announcement to become an official candidate for mayor. But
this is just a question. We're talking about Eric Coleman.
Yes.
How old is this brother?
71.
And so this leads right to the point that I was making earlier.
I think on that point, I think conceptually that's what you have. It's just that the voices of the elders have been replaced by the voices of the community. But the politicos, the elected class, doesn't listen to any voice once they get elected. And I think that's the problem, which goes back to what you were saying. The party, I've been saying this forever. I have commercials that play during our program, that I put together specifically to address this for years. Leave the plantation of party politics. Free your political mind. So if the party elects a mayor, the party elects the mayor. The party has a mayor, not the people. and the mayor and the city council people and the board of education leadership and are all beholden to the party. The party can get on the phone and call them up, and they will acquiesce. The party is the table around which everyone sits. So it's not like the party has a seat at the table. The party is the table.
I just want to put this out there right now, Stan, so people don't get me confused with anybody else. I don't give a damn about the party. They hold nothing over me in my tribe. Well, I just want to put that out there.
That's good to put out. I would concur, except that they still are the table. So it's
I have my own table. I've said that for years.
I understand that. You have a table where all the decisions are made that affect you, your tribe, your community. However, the plane we're on is hijacked. I have my own seat on the plane. It's my seat. I get to decide what goes on in my seat. But someone else is flying the plane.
Until I decide to take you off. But go ahead.
But unless you push the plane out. So the party has all of the money that they collect from all of the people, because the party controls the finances that come into the apparatus. The apparatus would be quote unquote government. It's our government. It's not the party's government. I've said this ad nauseum. The party it's not the party's government. It's our government. Parties have hijacked government of the American people. And so my standing question to all candidates, and all the candidates I've had coffees with and sat down and talked to, I've told them all that my standing question that you have to answer publicly as best I can create that opportunity.
Yes.
Is in light of the powers that be, the party being one of them, when it comes to choosing between them and the people, how will you navigate that? And be careful of the answer. I give them all a whole year to think about the answer, because words mean things and what you say matters. So if the first answer is, well, I'm good, if I have to choose between the party and the people, I always choose the people. Well, that's easier said. Eddie chose the people. He's on the outside looking in. I mean, okay, well, that's fine. How will you navigate that? I choose the people is not a sufficient answer to me. How do you navigate that? Because if you are an elected that is serving the people and you get that nuance wrong, you've been muted as a servant now for the people and replaced with a spark plug that has the full charge like we want. You know what I'm saying?
For the party.
So this is
for the machine. For the machine, because there's a machine in play here. The government is there. The roads, the streets, the water delivery system, the taxation, what legislation gets passed, whether or not we get an extension on gasoline tax holiday, whether diesel gets a tax break or not, whether electric bills are sanctioned to go up or not. All those things are made by people elected to power. Those things affect us.
Right, exactly, right. So one of the things that I think about is, when we think about the body politics, and we think about the money aspect related to it, and then we think about the candidates that are supported by the party and work for the party and not for the people, and then the candidates that have the money themselves personally that win based off the strength of being supported by the ultimate body politics. There's at least a bad taste in my mouth from the perspective that if I were to run $0 on the books, right? There's this whole process that has to go into effect. And so if it is that when I start thinking about the money aspect, if I'm only winning based on the strong ties that I have to a particular party, as well as with the dollars behind it, right? then how is it that I'm a representative of the people, right? So if I get elected, where do my loyalties flow in order for me to do the job that needs to get done without being hindered or heavily influenced by those that are quote unquote my handlers per se, because it is that they help me get into that position, right? So in terms of representation, there's things that need to be done infrastructure wise, but there's also things that need to be done to bring up the community in a positive and productive way. And so it seems to me like the strike for a balance is not really very clear in terms of how it is that things go, because we've got too many influential factors that come into play when it is that things need to be done, both from the political aspect for infrastructure purposes, but then when you look at that community aspect and listening to the members of the community, I'm trying to figure out how it is that individuals are striking that balance. And why is it that if we have a candidate that comes from the community that wants to do both, why is that seen as such a bad thing or a negative thing from the big political running the machine?
Well, I thought that's a good question. I don't know if it's necessarily bad or good, but stick and stay. We'll take a short break. We'll come right back. We'll jump right into this subject. You're watching Morning Talk. I'm your host, Jason McCauley, along with the champions of talk, Dr. Maya Bowen and Cacique, joining us this morning. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back.
Independent thinkers are Puerto Rican, Mexican, Peruvian, Indian, Bosnian, Italian, Irish, Jamaican, African American, European, straight, gay, Nigerian, transgender, Christian, Jewish, Muslim, short, tall, skinny, rich, poor, happy, sad. Some of us hold a PhD and others a GED. And though we may be Democrats, Republicans, or members of the Working Families Party, we all have escaped the plantation of party politics and become independent thinkers because we as individuals are more than a party. You see, independent thinkers come from all walks of life. And the one thing we all have in common is that we love, live, laugh, and learn in the city of Hartford. We are the constituents, and the government of Hartford belongs to us. My name is J. Stan McCauley. I'm an independent thinker, and I approve this message because it's time to stop towing the party line and vote for a candidate you can trust. You too can escape the plantation of party politics if you have the courage to free your political mind.
Hi, so my name is Nelky Maldonado,
My name is Ramon L. Arroyo.
and we know that Hartford Parent University provides good services and resources to parents in our communities, which are greatly needed because a lot of times our parents, they don't know where to go, how to get information, and being part of this program is essential to them in being successful in their children's education.
And I think that parents should get involved in their kids' education because it's very important. Education is, I always believe, is a success in life. If you got a good education, you can be very successful.
So we encourage our parents to please come join the program, ask lots of questions, and I'm telling you, you won't be disappointed.
Hi,
My name's J.C. McCauley.
I'm Naisha McCauley, and you're watching AccessTV.org.
Oh yeah, welcome back. Morning Talk. The conversation continues.
Well, that was a great question, Dr. Maya, that we ended the break on. And I want to try to address it a little bit as best as I can. I think that, a lot of times what happens is that when a community person who has real, genuine, and legitimate, honest interest in bringing some real change about, when a lot of times, first of all, they're changed when they get in there because they see that they're up against a machine that is quite formidable and has a lot of resources to push back. And a lot of people give up because they see that they don't. And so if a person like that doesn't have the support of the community, a lot of times they fold. So, and so the reason being that a lot of times, Dr. Maya, the interests of the community is not the same interest as the political parties, So that's where the conflict lies, and that's why they don't want people like Stan McCauley in office. They don't want people like Komora Harrington in office. They don't want other people like that are going to come in and make immediate changes. I think if Stan McCauley was elected mayor, next week, one of the first things he would do is ask the police chief for his resignation. And if he didn't get it, he fired him on the spot. Maybe even ask for him to be arrested. I don't know. But, people, they don't want people like that. You're going to bring real change. If Stan was elected governor, he can bring about an investigation into a lot of stuff that other people wouldn't even bring up. And so people like that don't get elected. They don't get elected. It's hard. It's very hard. The community has to rally and then follow that person for the duration of their term, for their safety and to make sure that there's no chicanery, no trickery, no tomfoolery going on. That's going to make that person make a decision that's going to hurt people in the community. So, it's a process. There's a way to do it, and communities have done it. But there has to be a consensus, a group of people. It doesn't even have to be the majority of the community. It has to be the majority of the people who vote. Because they're the ones that are going to decide who's going to be elected or not. We have 120,000 people in Hartford, I guess, right now.
Yes.
The most we ever get out for an election is 10,000.
And I'm doing those numbers right now. Check this out. So 120,000. So in my head, if we say that, I want to say 70% of those members are of voting age, that means that we would have 84,000 individuals that actually exercise their right to vote. And if we're only dealing with 10,000 individuals that consistently go out to vote, so let's say 10,000 divided by 84,000. I'm doing some math this morning, so bear with me. That's like 12%. 12%.
But we don't need 12%. That's what I'm saying. We don't need 12%. Out of that 12%, we need, 60% of that. 12.
60% of the 12%? My word. I say we need more individuals that actually exercise their right to vote. Because that's
the voters.
Right. Those that, so 120,000 times 70% is representative of individuals that are of age to vote, right? So that means that we would have 84,000 individuals going and voting. If only 10,000 of the 120, out of the 84,000, if only 10,000 out of the 84,000, that means that 74,000 individuals are choosing not to vote. That's numbers. That's huge. It's like, so why is it that it's not important enough for them to actually go through that process?
Sister, let me just
what's driving that? What's driving that?
I just want to make a point on your point. okay? Because out of that number that we're talking about that chose not to vote, the implication is much bigger than the fact that they didn't choose to vote, right? Just like they also chose to accept whatever comes down.
Right.
And that's the real implication.
Right.
And that's where we're at right now.
Yeah.
I've said that on the show many times.
They're happy either with the status
And
quo,
not happy. You don't have to be happy.
Or they feel they have no voice.
Content.
Content. So if those same people, like if right now, with our little tiny little sphere of influence, if we said that Hartford City Hall has cards that will allow you to get free fuel until next June, and we could back it up with proof, give them the codes necessary, everyone in the city before the end of the week would hear about it and show up at City Hall. They'd be lining up because there's something they want.
Half of the city would be there as soon as one of us found out.
That's my point. And the folk that don't have television, radio, or anything else will be down there, or even a car.
Word of mouth.
Because of word of mouth. Because there's something they want. Is my contention that they don't want what's being offered. You know, the lesser of two evils is evil, and everyone doesn't take the lesser evil. They opt out. And so since there's no one there running,
absolutely not true.
You think
we're choosing evil right now. What are you talking about?
When you have to vote, you vote for many times for the lesser of two evils.
And the lesser of two evils is evil.
Right. So
and we are accepting evil. That's what we've done. I'm just telling you. That's what we do every day.
Lou.
Yes, brother.
That's from your worldview and your perspective and your side of the coin. Because I used to get into these discussions with people about Mayor Bronin.
Yes.
There are people who like Mayor Bronin.
And that's okay.
And they have no problem with him. There are people who are genuinely pacing the floor back and forth trying to figure out what the heck are we going to do now that he's gone. Mm-hmm. There's some that are maybe even a little bit panic stricken, like, oh my God, what?
Hopefully, it's the right type of folk.
What am I going to do now? No. I'm talking about the Bronin supporter.
Yes.
And they're not subhuman. They're not people who have an issue with their mind.
Yes.
They just are on another side of the coin.
And that's okay.
And that's okay.
Yes.
So my point is that why would you vote against something that you're comfortable with? Because you're content doesn't mean you're unhappy or mad about a thing. Now, those that are not supporters of him, who know people who are not supportive of him, who talk about change, those people need to do something. Those people need to be motivated. Well, however one wants to put it, but it's just, thus say it stand, not necessarily the truth. I believe people act toward things they want. And if they're not acting toward that thing, trying to get that thing, then they're content where they are. Would life for them be happier if they did something? That's not for me to say. I can't determine what makes someone else content and happy. They know what they want. If they're free will, moral individuals who can make decisions at their own table, seat at their own table, who am I to come in and tell them how to live life? If they choose they don't want to be involved in a political process, that's their choice. That doesn't make them less. But I would imagine if there was someone that they really, really liked, if there was someone that they really, really believed in, someone from their own table even, they might change that and say, well, you know what? Let's get behind this person. Let's do this. But they have to believe in that person, and that person has to resonate with them. And my contention is that for most people out there, the people who don't engage in the political process, there's no one that rings that bell for them.
Well, Stan, what I would say about that is that there are people many people, hundreds of thousands of people in this country who don't know who the president is. And they don't care
That's
to know.
true. They don't care.
To
People
know.
who don't know who mayor is.
Right. They don't care to know. There's people here in our community who don't know who the mayor is. They still think it's Mike Peters or somebody else because they don't care.
Eddie.
And so when we talk about stuff, whatever the subject matter is, we have to understand that there's a large segment of the population that does not care about that particular subject matter, that topic. They just don't care about it.
And that's not bad.
Right. So, no, but we have to take that into account because we think that because only 10,000 people out of 120,000 vote in Hartford, it's a big deal. A lot of people are not interested in local politics. And the people that are interested in local politics have a lot to gain. That's why they're in it.
Right.
Okay? And there's more people that are interested in state politics in terms of the governor than they are of local politics.
Correct.
And there's another group of people that also doesn't care about
State.
local politics, state politics, but they want to know who the president is. They'll vote for that. So there's so many categories that we have to deal with. But for me, the same thing that I say about education, every time I hear anybody, but particularly a black or brown person, talk about, oh, we have to do this to fix education, or we have to do that to fix education, they're fools. There's no fixing it. For us, we have to dismantle that.
I would like
and
to
rebuild it, and we have to
that.
dismantle the political system because there is no fixing it. We have to start over.
All right.
So that would be my contribution to that comment.
Here's my weigh in. So we're not typically going to actually be able to dismantle anything, right? The system is the way it is.
Right.
Now, here's what every one of these systems has in common. Us, people. The people aspect, right? It's been mentioned many times that people have to care. When it is that people care enough about a system to make sure that whatever is wrong with it gets corrected, they get it done. That's throughout history, period. Now, something that you pointed out is that, individuals have diverse interests and lack thereof. Let's say, for the sake of this conversation, that in order for Hartford residents to become more interested, that there were groups that would encourage, not only in education, but even outside of the educational system, civics lessons that promoted local politics, that then dived into the federal level as well. But building that foundation, building that and encouraging that educational aspect of how it is that politics impacts you locally. All politics is local. Now, imagine for a second that out of this group, let's say 10 to 15 years from now, we've built up young people who have this interest that are now going into politics, which speaks to what you said earlier, Consike, that the elders would be guiding the youth. But if it is that we don't put into place that foundation to start spurring and driving an interest in that area, then our young people, if you don't expose the young people to anything that you would like for them to begin to at least consider as an option, they may not dive into that later. So here it is, you have a 30 or 40-year-old individual that had never gotten exposed to it. So talking to them about politics is something that they have no interest in whatsoever because they weren't exposed to it. Nobody gets a natural tan without being exposed to the sun. And so if it is that in our everyday living, we really start looking at education as the process that we go through within four walls, but even outdoors, outside, then it becomes part of how it is that we take in information, process information, and communicate specific types of ideas that could positively and productively increase what it is that the community needs overall to change things that need to be changed. It's a process. Now, you mentioned the word process. It is a process, but the dismantling of everything and starting afresh, that's not going to happen, because it's like you have to have a redo. Like, for example, I have a game system. If it is that I didn't like the way things were going when I was playing my game, NBA Live 2005, right? I just clicked the reset button. We don't have that option here, right? But what we do have an option to do is have individuals begin to really show a decent amount of care about changing how things are. You have to really and truly feel the injury of what's going on that's deemed as wrong in order to actually be spurred into coming up with some corrective action measures to apply. But the dismantling is not going to work in terms of stripping it down and starting afresh. But through us, we can begin to build the numbers for those that have even a modicum of care and would like to roll up their sleeves and get that work done, to get that done. So it can be done, but it's not going to be through the whole dismantling and stripping down of what has already been established, but through the people that decide to get involved. We can do this.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, Dr. Maya, I really appreciate that feedback, but once again, your response just confirms what I said. The system is completely ineffective, and for us, but it works for the people who it's supposed to work for. And in terms of,
I don't believe it's completely ineffective. I don't believe it. There's things that need to be changed, but I don't think it's completely ineffective, because by you sitting where you sit and where I sit, we got something out of it. We got something out of the system, way it is. We were born actually into this system, so there's nothing that we can do to change that. But go ahead.
Right. Well, it works for who is meant to work for, right? So, and then in terms of all politics is local, that's a clever saying, but once again, we have to examine all these clever sayings and see how they fit in our lives, right? Because to me, that's not true. Because federal trumps all local law. So all politics, it appears to be local.
Wow.
But the real deal is at the top.
Wow. That's debatable, but go on.
Well, you tell me what local law trumps federal law. And then let's have that debate. Right.
I remember when there were a couple of people like the president who wanted to do something within a particular town in a particular state, and he told no. States have rights. The federal law.
Stan, yes. The states have rights.
We don't have to receive federal money for education.
Right.
And then we would not be under the edicts of the Department of Education.
Yes.
Because if you want their money, you got to play by our rules.
Well, my response to that would be, if you're not going to give me the money for education, then we not going to pay tax. You understand? So we have power.
Yeah, but see,
so there's some truth.
The federal tax goes toward the Federation being protected by the United States military. Now, there's certain rules and certain things that trump, the federal law covers. But at the end of the day, all politics is local, because your federal representatives are elected at the local level. And so it doesn't flow from the top down. It flows from the bottom up. Your whole analogy about the wise counsel of the elders overseeing the young chieftain, The young chieftain has the authority to implement the will of the council while being considerate of those whom all have charge over. Everybody keeps everybody else in check. The system is not going to be dismantled. It's like tearing apart a plane that's been hijacked. Well, the whole system's been hijacked. We need to tear it apart. Well, not while we're up here in the air, and so how are we going to land a plane? We have 3 people that were once part of the 400 on the plane, ran up into the cockpit, overpowered the crew, and now they're flying the plane who knows where. And so if you have someone that's hijacked a system, in my opinion, the party has hijacked our government.
So let me respond to that thing about how the officials are elected. They're elected by the people.
Right.
To go to the federal government to do the federal government's bidding, not the people's bidding.
They're not elected to do the federal government's
They're
bidding.
not
They're
elected for that,
to do
but that's
the
what they do.
party's bidding.
Right, but that's what they do. That's what they end up doing.
Yeah, but they're there for the sake of the party, and then the party gets to control the whole apparatus. They make organized crime look like entry level.
Stan, but you're just making my point that politics would appear to be local, but it's really whatever officials we elect them to do the government's bidding, not our bidding.
No,
because that's what ends up happening, Stan.
That may be what ends up.
But that's not what's supposed to happen. I understand that.
The airplane is not supposed to be hijacked. But the people that got on the plane were there to do the bidding of someone else, not the passengers on the plane.
Yeah.
So we could sit back and let them fly the plane into a building, or we could go up there and take them suckers out. But you got to find someone with a little bit of courage out of that 400. And if the people on the plane don't have the courage, they, along with the 3 people flying the plane, will all perish in the side of a building.
So right now, to me, every time that we do any type of election based on the way that things are done now, we just crash in that. Every time we have an election stand, we just crash in the plane. Don't matter if the Republicans win or the Democrats. That plane is getting crashed.
And not as long as I have anything to say about it, because if you're going to elect the hijackers, welcome to Flight 105, where you get to elect your own hijackers.
So,
I mean, at some point, you have to say, we're going to do a full screening of all the passengers. What is your affiliation with X, Y, and Z? So we have an election coming up. All kinds of people going to be running up at the gate talking about what they want to do for this, that, and the third. We're not electing grand poobahs or kings. We're not electing deities to office.
Yeah.
All of these folk, clowns, and I can say that with the deepest of affection because I was one of them, in that I ran for public office.
Yes.
I earned the right to call elected officials clowns.
Yes.
So all of these folk work for us. There's no one announcing that they're going to run for office that are somehow doing us a favor.
Right.
They are applying for a job, and if they don't want to show that they are putting us first, then to hell with them. They don't deserve the job. I'm going to be ruthless with everybody that steps up to the plate. Ruthless.
But why do you think that by asking pointed questions, by holding people accountable, why do you think you're ruthless?
Because you have. I think that is ruthlessness.
No, holding people accountable, Stan, is not ruthless. That's just holding them accountable, man.
They and their supporters will think that we are being unfair and ruthless. So by that definition, and I'm willing to give that to them. So be it. They are applying for a job. Now, lots of times the sycophants that surround political figures all have something to gain from that person's arrival at office. So they protect them with everything. But all of them get in there with our vote. And so we need a better graded constituent, which means we have to educate those that do vote and those that could potentially vote if they understand that if they put people in office that will be held accountable, then you have an ally in office. There are some elected officials who are allies to the community.
I don't think that we need a better grade of constituents.
I
Dan.
do.
I think that we need a more honest system that is going to educate the community, voters, everyone in an honest way. And that's not being done. The Democrats accuse the Republicans of doing exactly step by step, verbatim of what the Republicans do. And then the Republicans do the same thing.
But that presupposes that the Democrats and Republicans are any different. The most sophisticated team in basketball is the Washington Generals. You know who the Washington Generals are?
Yes, I do. They won the 1936 oh no, you're talking about the team that played the Harlem Globetrotters.
There you go.
No,
Right. See, the Harlem Globetrotters always wins, and the Generals always almost win, but manage to lose every game
at the end,
because it's all the same team.
It's all scripted, yeah.
It's all the same team. The Democrats and Republicans are on the same team.
So why are we voting for either one?
That's why I said the party. So if you're gonna run, and the only way you can get in is through the party, if that's a justification, then what signal?
How do you start a political party, Stan? What do you need
I
to do?
think 25 people up at the Secretary of State's office can start a fight. You get signatures, you start your own party. We have somebody in Hartford right now who's on council who started his own party and got elected.
Who is that?
John Gale, the Hartford Party.
That's some real white privilege right there.
It's not white privilege. It could be Puerto Rican privilege.
No,
it could be Italian privilege.
I understand that. I understand that. But having that knowledge and taking advantage of it when he knows he's not serving us, that's white privilege.
Well, I would suggest that we could do the same thing. The rules, the privilege comes in how the general society responds to you. Because you have a party and you call them the Panther Party. You could start a school lunch program, breakfast program, all kinds of stuff. You could do all kinds. But how the general public responds to you is where the cloak of privilege comes in.
I don't think that should be an issue for us because many of us have been trained like animals to push back on anything that works against the system. So when we do things and they're done in goodwill and good faith and they're done with the intention to create change, what the general public, like you call them, says should not matter.
All right, hold that thought. We'll be right back. Morning Talk.
I definitely got a question, though.
Hi,
My name's J.C. McCauley.
I'm Naisha McCauley, and you're watching AccessTV.org.
Oh, yeah. It's Morning Talk. Welcome back. J. Stan McCauley, along with the champions of talk. We have in studio Cacique, and joining us via technology, Dr. Maya Bowen. So, welcome back. Dr. Bowen.
Oh, yes. Yeah, with that technology, you gotta make sure that you unmute the mic. This conversation has been so interesting. So I'm taking everything in. CK, you brought up the fact that the system, as it was designed, is only benefited from the perspective that it was designed for a specific people. Now, with that being said, if I'm taking in what you said correctly, that we currently, we meaning us three, since we're having this conversation, are not benefiting from the system. So correct me if I'm wrong. You do benefit from the system that was not designed for you specifically. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Absolutely. That's like collateral damage, though. It's not intentional. It's coincidence.
I don't believe in coincidences because here's the thing: if coincidences actually happen, that means that the creator of all things, we came about through a coincidence, and that is just not the case. But I say all that from the perspective that because we have the systems as they are, we all get some type of benefit from it. So, whether it was not intentionally structured from the perspective that it would include all.
I just want to change my word from coincidence to incidental is a better word, but go ahead, sister. Thank you.
Okay. I don't know how to intertwine that, but thinking in terms of the system itself. For example, when you set up shop to sell your actual, your products, if it is that I came to your table and I said, oh, I'm interested in this, and this, and I did not present you with any type of currency, you're not giving me that product. Okay? So the benefit that we get from how things were set up allows for us to make these type of exchanges via products and services being delivered within the system. And that's just an example, right? So whether or not, the individuals that constructed specific types of laws, policies, and procedures intended it for us to benefit, we still are benefiting from the system, but there are things that need to be adjusted so that there is more equitable dispersion of, I want to say, justice. Because I found out something recently that, the law and justice are two different things, right? So, if we go into a court system and you're seeking justice, they're following the law to the letter up to the point where their bias doesn't kick in. I just leave it like that.
Okay, so I understand, or overstand what you're saying. It's just that there are words that are written into the laws of this country. There are paragraphs, describing how, black people are not humans. You know what I'm saying? And it's hard for me, sister, to and see a better person to ask that question about whether the system works or not is that brother that was or the families of these people that have been murdered and they've gotten no justice or legal or otherwise. You know what I'm saying? Those are the people that we need to ask that, not me. I'm going to do what I got to do. I've already made up my mind a long time ago. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to self-identify You know, I'm going to try to keep my culture and my tradition alive. That's my legacy. But the brother that was paralyzed by them 5 cops in Waterbury, and they're going to get a slap on the wrist. He's going to be paralyzed the rest of their lives. They may not even be fired. Those are the better people to ask that question. Is the system, you know, is it working? Or in any one of these systems.
So,
you know?
so
that would be my rebuttal to that.
Within these systems, the key thing that remains consistent is the people aspect. People are flawed. Nobody walking this planet is actually 100% flawless, meaning perfect, right? And so when you're dealing with systems, look at the people in the positions and look at how it is that there's so much variety in terms of morals rather. There's, you know, the corruption could be so deeply embedded inside a person that morals is not something that they, you know, even have a understanding of, because they've been doing things crooked all their lives. We don't know who it is that is going to take on a particular position in terms of their moral fiber, but it would be nice if a modicum or a standard of moral civility, namely that of doing no harm to others, be placed in perspective and followed by individuals within all positions,
we don't have
whether or not it's leadership or not, right? So if we were to do no harm to others, if we actually walked around thinking and acting out doing no harm to others, this world will actually dramatically change.
But where do we get our guidance from, sister?
Hold on for a second. So where it is that individuals have their own aspects of power, greed, and selfishness embedded within them, this is where we see that divergence and actually being able to accomplish that. Because we use those officers of the law as an example, and the injuries that were sustained that are lifelong by this individual. Again, it goes back to what I recently learned. There's a difference between justice and the law. And so whoever it is that decided that they were going to be lenient in how it is that they applied the law, there is no justice from that slap on the wrist. But at the end of the day, we're not in the position that let's say the prosecutor had to actually make those charges be more severe based on the outcomes. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of different dynamics going on here, but you cannot remove the people factor.
Well, my response to your comment, Dr. Maya, would be that it's a question. Where do we get our moral compass from? So I've said this on the show before. The Catholic Church in this country would be the moral compass, right? The biggest, have more members, whatever, right?
That's debatable.
Well,
but for the sake
of the argument. Right? But they spend millions of dollars preventing an investigation into, you know, the pedophile priests and all the crimes that they committed. Millions. Then they spent hundreds of millions preventing the investigation from coming out, the findings. Right?
So then they can't.
So if that is our moral compass, what are you asking, sister?
So
we don't have. So that's why I say that we have to examine all of these systems, and they have to be dismantled and taken down one by one. And you said there's no reset button. The reset button has already been pressed, sister. We are in the time of the Great Awakening.
Well, yeah,
it's coming.
But that all that is relative, and the Great Awakening, depending upon who you're talking to, is different with different groups and people. Now,
Absolutely.
They're not the moral compass. The moral compass isn't some entity that claims such. You are making them the moral compass. And by definition, they lose the baton of moral compass by the actions that they undertake. So, a moral compass isn't some particular individual. Everyone, if there's an innate capacity of human beings to be able to determine right from wrong. Many choose to do wrong and others choose to do right. But all of these things are relative. So if you have a moral compass, the standard has to be greater than those who are supposedly participating and acting out and becoming the poster child of what moral compass is. Now, at one time, one, I guess, could perhaps try to say that the Catholic Church had was the standard bearer of a moral compass. But the Catholic Church's history is replete with all kinds of stuff, as is everybody's history. You can go to the motherland and it wasn't nothing but all chocolate people wiping out other chocolate people. Humanity is immoral. So who sets the compass for what is right and what is wrong is very relative to the society who may be in charge now. Everyone has a history of oppression. Everybody. There's not a human society on the planet that wasn't oppressive over someone. And so it's very convenient from time to time for the current occupiers of time to say, well, you've been oppressing me and therefore we need to reset the system. Well, the systems are always reset. Empires come, empires go. That's the way of the world. Mm-hmm. And so, America's time may have come and it may go. But on the local level, where we can choose a little bit of this, where we can actually go out and vote, in Hartford, we got a couple people getting ready for mayor. Getting ready to run for mayor.
Give us some names, Stan.
Well, when we come back, we'll do the short list. We got a couple people getting ready to run for city council.
We want to hear those names.
Right? So let's see who these people are and let's see what they can muster up. They're all up for renewal, right? They all got to renew their job applications. They're like Elon. We're the Elon Musk of Hartford, and we're here
to crash the plane.
We're gonna land the plane and get a new crew. So who's gonna be the crew on this plane? And this time we're gonna hold these crew feet to the fire, right? We're gonna go handcuff them to the steering wheel, right? And make sure they understand who's in charge.
You got to do it. That's accountability.
Right? We gotta do that.
Got to do it.
I said we're getting ready to crash the plane again.
Well, hey, there may be some wisdom in that. Be careful what you ask for, right? Be careful what you ask for, because you might just get it. Stick and Stay will be right back. It's Morning Talk.
How do you define evil? Is it the pedophile school administrator or taxation without representation? Is it the gatekeeping community leaders who sell out the very people they are fighting for? Or is evil the politician that puts out lies and takes in cash? However you may classify evil, having to choose the lesser of two evils still leaves you with evil. No wonder so many people don't vote. It's time for constituents to flip the script and leave the plantation of party politics and free your political mind.
afternoon. My name is Nwalki Tete. I'm a parent to a student in Hartford High. And I would say the program was very good. It taught us a lot about how to deal with our kids, how to handle situations. So I would say it's good for all parents to partake if you can. And our coach was very good. She taught us a lot about the Parents University. So I'm so happy and I'm glad I took part in the Parents University. So thank you so much. Love you. My name is Nwalki Tete. Bye.
Hi,
My name's J.C. McCauley.
I'm Naisha McCauley, and you're watching AccessTV.org.
Oh, yeah. All right, we're going to wrap it up now. We got the final final what? What time is it? It's the final 7 minutes here. Land a plane.
What a great show today, Stan. Thank you so much. I hope our viewers and our listeners enjoyed today's show as much as I did. And I'd like to give out a couple shout outs to some of our present people and some of our ancestors. So we always start with our ancestors. So today I want to say, I want to recognize and commemorate on the show Gloria Herena, a magnificent leader from Boriquen. Mrs. Perry. Mrs. Perry is a legend in Charter Oak. And I just want to give an example of how black and brown folks supported each other. This woman had a school bus that she turned into a small grocery store, and the whole neighborhood benefited from that. We had credit there and everything. Mrs. Perry, I'm forever grateful for your magnificence. And she's still with us today. She's 90-something. And I also want to shout out Rick Torres, magnificent brother who is still doing a lot of work out here. Carmen Cordero and Lou Santana, and also Mr. Abdul Muhammad Sr., who I've often mentioned on the program as one of my mentors. A magnificent brother. Thank you so much for your teachings, Mr. Muhammad. And to all the people out there today, what I would recommend that you do is to ask your ancestors to guide your words, your steps, and your actions. Peace, family.
All right. Dr. Bowen.
Yes. So as we close out 2022, this is the last day of November. It's very interesting how fast time actually flies when it is that you're having fun. But I would say to everyone to really consider being the light in the spheres of influence that you have. So whoever it is that you come in contact with, make sure that you say hello and smile, because it costs you $0 to be nice. And everybody's going through something, but it costs $0 to be nice.
Absolutely. All right. Well, now let's see here. The short list. Now that
for mayor.
Now that it is official
that Lion Luke is not running.
That Luke Bronin is not running for mayor. Now that that's official, that allows the floodgates to be wide open. Their money's not going to be on the street.
So he's not running for no criminal stuff.
No, he's not running.
I'm saying he's not running from
No.
Okay.
No. He's done. It's nonstop job. It's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It robs you of everything imaginable, and that's
It
why
wears you down.
it wears you down. So whoever gets the job,
Be ready.
Godspeed to you.
You better be doing some push-ups right now.
Push-ups, and every time you push up, every day you got to do push-ups. You push up and you pull. As you push down, there's another bowl of excrement. And
On top of you.
right under you, and you eat your way up, and then you're good for the one day. Come back. It's the same thing. You're never going to make everybody happy, and it's a thankless job. But there are people who want it.
They're built like that.
They're built like that. Hey, what can I say? But having said that, you do need people who want to have that fight and are zealous about it. So my
Stan, you
short
got everybody on the edge of their seat now.
The short list.
Yes, give it to us, please.
The short list. The J. Stan McCauley, top. This is the J. Stan McCauley short list.
Hot off the grill.
Hot off the grill. All right.
You're the first to know, audience.
I'm not trying to make any friends or enemies. People can get mad if they want. Top of the list, Eddie Perez.
Eddie Perez. Blast from the past. We got to keep Eddie and his boy Matt Hennessy as far away from Hartford as we can. Anybody who is collaborating with these slick A crackers, we don't need you.
All right. So
next.
All right. Let's see. Eric Coleman.
Eric needs to run for mayor in his own town.
All right. Brandon McGee.
Brandon McGee, I don't know him, but he's a young brother.
He's a young brother.
And if he's willing to accept.
Just help the governor get reelected.
That's not a big deal for me.
Okay.
But I want to know if he's going to take the counsel of the elders, of the community. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
I'm not saying that you have to do what we say.
Just listen.
You have to come in and sit down and listen. That's it.
Yeah,
because
that's
you're a young man,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a lot of people in this community that have decades of experience, and not just in politics. Some of them aren't even political, but they have a lot to offer.
Okay, next, Nick LeBron.
I like Nick. He's a young brother, but he's already collaborated with some of them people too much. So be careful, Nick, because you know what we say in Borinquen. Dime con quién andas y te diré quién eres. Tell me who you walk with, and I will tell you who you are.
That's deep. Okay, next I would say Cynthia Jennings.
I love Cynthia. She would be a breath of fresh air. She's a little older than I like, because I would like somebody in their 20s or 30s. So they can have, you know what I'm saying, and then still have, like if you're a mayor for 1 or 2 terms, and then you walk, you still have plenty of time to do other stuff. Because life should be about having as many positive, or just having as many experiences as you can. Hopefully most of them won't be positive, but when they're negative, they just teach you how to deal with things. But
I like the Cynthia Jennings position. She's really and truly tied into the community
in an environment. She's a super environmentalist.
She's passionate. She's got that fervor, and she has a history with working with younger people, so that she can pass the mantle on to someone who is actually younger. So
and she would not be afraid of that, sister.
What happened now?
She would not be afraid of that.
Exactly.
She would embrace that.
Exactly. That's exactly why it is that I'm stating what I'm stating, because we need individuals that are in these positions that are willing to prepare others that are younger to step in, right? This is what our main conversation has been about, right?
Yep.
Young people getting guidance from the elders. And so we need that, because think about this. If it is that the youth are not trained up by their elders, then they make their own ways and they create errors or walk into errors that they could have at some point, at some level, avoided had they had the wisdom of the elders. So I'm right there with you, Lou.
All right.
Thank you, sister. Thank you. Stan, who's next?
John Gale.
Come on, man.
This the people
I
who
know,
running.
but what is this guy doing, man?
Well, look. Now that the mayor's not running, the gate is wide open.
The next big white hope. Can somebody tell John to crawl back under that rock over there where he live at?
All right. Well, wow. Okay. Next, let's see. Going through the mental Rolodex.
I got a couple while you're thinking.
Go on.
I have this. I had Eric, Molly Rosado,
Molly. Yes, Molly
Okay.
Rosado.
Minnie Gonzalez. Minnie has coveted that position, and her fallout with Eddie was over that.
That absolutely. Yeah.
But I don't like either one for mayor. Ed Vargas.
For mayor.
Yep.
Now that would be very interesting.
Ed Vargas for mayor. And then I have to put her name in, although I took it off, but I mentioned it early, way before.
Thea.
No.
Thea Montanez.
I wouldn't let Thea Montanez walk my dog. I'm just telling you. But here's the one right here.
Wow, Lou.
I'm just being honest.
No doubt.
When you
I
corroborate with the enemy against this community, you're not welcome. I don't give a damn what color you are or what ethnicity you claim. You laying down with the enemy and conspiring against us, because that sister right there is somebody that we can hold accountable, because she could have fired Jason Thody instead of walking around holding his hand. You understand? So she is definitely not a good candidate for mayor. And I hope you're listening, sister. Right? Clean your act up. Get it together. And then the person that I was going to mention is, because I said it before, because of her inability to see that she took the Board of Education as far as she could, is Leslie. I talked to Leslie last year about running for mayor. I said, Leslie, when you came to my house,
that could
and
be.
I told you that you were going to be the next superintendent, and you are. Now I'm asking you, do you want to be mayor? And she said no. She says, I'm happy doing this, blah blah blah. But I think she would be a serious candidate.
She would be a serious candidate
because she's from here. She knows the system. I don't want to offend anybody. The only thing that Leslie has to do now is resign from the Board of Ed, go home and do some push-ups, and come back and announce that you're throwing your name in the hat. I think she would be a formidable opponent for anybody, and also I think she'd make a great mayor. But you got to start pushing back on these folk that don't have the best interests of our city. I don't give a damn what their name is, what their position is, who they are associated with. If they don't have the best interests of our city, of our children, of our families, then you have to push back. And when they try to mess with you, you call me. You call me. Stand together. We get the camera. We go ask them some questions.
All right.
You know what I'm saying?
All right.
So we need to let all of our people know that's running for any type of election. If you are an honest person, if you have the interest of our community, we will protect you. We will fight for you. Right? So please be mindful of that.
All right, I think that kind of rounds up the list. I think that's a pretty solid list. Go on, one more.
How about you have somebody for council? You said you had a couple.
Well, we'll do the council next week.
Okay, cool.
Because our time's winded down. Now I had to think about the council people. We got to think. Now we need to think long and hard and serious about council.
Yes.
Because the party's going to put people up. This is our short list.
Yes.
It's our short list.
It was beautiful, man.
I think that's a good. I think that's a good short
decent.
list. Yeah.
All right,
That's a
y'all.
decent
Thank you,
list.
family. Dr.
For
Maya,
sure.
thank you so much, man. Thank you so much for your knowledge, and your wisdom is always appreciated. Thank you.
Likewise, Cacique.
All right,
Likewise.
y'all. All right. Stan McCauley.
Likewise.
If you ain't the man, nobody's the man.
Well, I might not be the man people like, you know.
But you still the man, and that don't change.
There you go.
That's what I'm talking about, man. It's been
All
great.
right.
It's been great, man.
All right, my friends, our time together has come to an end, and as it does each and every time. Where else can you have this much fun and get? We double the
Nowhere.
pay. We double the pay of everyone involved every week, and they still manage to make nothing. All right, there you go. All right, my friends, we'll see you real soon. There you go, brother. All right. We'll see you all real soon. Dr. Maya Bowen, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
Loving the Wednesdays.
All right.
2023, here we come.
All right, my friends. Ciao, ciao. See you real soon.
My name is J. Stan McCauley, and I do business as Light Source Productions. I provide professional services in the area of strategic video communications. First, what we do is we help you craft your message using what I call the rule of the 5 W's: who, what, when, where, and why. We do event documentation, content acquisition, full-scale productions, editing, and of course distribution through our social media television network. And with social media, video is more important now than it has ever been. Whether you're talking big business, small business, nonprofit, church, or just an individual. Let's say you plan you're planning an event, a wedding, whatever the case may be. But let's say a big event, but no video. And you spent all this time, all these hours to put this event on, and maybe 100, 200 people attend the event. But more important than that is that thousands could attend by watching it on social media. But of course, you don't think about this until after the event is over. You can't afford not to capture it for social media. And despite what people think, I am affordable. Give me a call. Let's plan your next video project and share it with the world on my social media television network. I promise you that you will have the attention of one person, me.